What's good, everybody? Today is the video for the 2,000 subscribers special. Thank you everybody for all of the continued support that you've been giving me through this channel. Channel is at its ups and its downs, and it's here's, there's, lefts and rights, okay? It's had everything, and you guys have stuck by me and continued to support me. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you guys so very much. For this special video, I put a poll or a post or whatever on YouTube saying, what should I do for my 2,000 subscribers special video? And you guys agreed that it's my favorite artists. So because this channel is primarily metal focused, we're gonna do my top 10 favorite metal artists. Oh my God, if there's any way to stir controversy, it's this. Why is this person on here, but not this person? How could you forget about this? I didn't forget anything. This is a solid top 10, but I'm going to break this video down into 3 categories. Before we get there, make sure to follow me on the socials. Any followers on any platform is amazing, so thank you guys for that. I appreciate it very much. So let's get into it. The 3 categories for this video is shoutouts, honorable mentions, and my top 10. So for the shoutouts category, I wanted to shout out some bands that did cross my mind. However, they're not on the list and not on the honorable mentions list. And if for some reason you don't know what honorable mentions are, it's here's my top 10, but the honorable mentions are like my top 11 through 15. But my shoutouts are going to be a little bit different. Like I said, just these were bands or artists that came into my mind. They did not land on the list, but I want to shout them out for one reason or another. The first shout out I want to make is to the band Nightmares. And if you guys have been following me, they are one of the bands that I found while doing this channel. I reacted to their song Falling Out on this channel, and it was the first time I ever had to run back a breakdown.
There's no such thing as pleasure. I only know.
What the fuck?
There's no such thing as pleasure. I only know.
And everything since then has been amazing. The other shout out's gonna be for the band I Prevail. Now, there is no song that they've released that I do not like. They're consistent, they're solid. Through their ups and downs, they have always made amazing music. My next shout out is the J-metal band Love Bites. And oh my God, every time I put a Love Bites video on this channel, you guys just eat it up. And I love the fan base behind Love Bites because they're so incredibly supportive, not dramatic, and it's like every time I've done a video by them, it's always had that sense of community, and every time I hear a song by them, I can't help but to just be in awe. Plus, they're adorable. Next 2 shout outs are Linkin Park and Breaking Benjamin. Now, Linkin Park, I don't need to explain why they would be on a list, whether it be top 10, honorable mentions, or shout outs. Shouts out to Linkin Park. Shout out also to the new lead singer that for some reason I just completely forget. Emily, I think is her name. Emily Armstrong. Yep. Shout out to her for carrying the band on. Not obviously not by herself, but she's doing a wonderful job. Linkin Park was the very first CD I ever got. I love them, and they were a huge staple in my childhood. Breaking Benjamin has always been one of my favorite bands, and I don't care. Okay, let me sit back. I don't care if you guys think that that is dad rock, butt rock. I don't care. I love Breaking Benjamin. The first music tattoo I ever got was a Breaking Benjamin tattoo. I've always loved them, and I'm always going to. Next is going to be Of Ruin. I love these guys. Every time I hear a new song by them, I am taken aback. Like, every song is an absolute ear-shredding banger, and they're friends of the channel. I want to shout out those guys. They are wonderful. If you haven't heard their music, go check it out. The next band I wanted to shout out is A Day to Remember. How could they not be on the list in some sort of facet? Seeing them live was wonderful. I seen them live right after they dropped the single Miracle, and my lord, I had a wonderful, wonderful time. I love them, and I'm happy to be a fan of theirs. I want to shout out the band No Silence. Now, No Silence didn't cross my mind like I was going to put them on the list in the honorable mentions or above, right? But I wanted to shout them out because they make some really good rock / metal, like emotional music, and it is wonderful. The next shout out I'm gonna have is Beartooth, because oh my god, Beartooth is such a fun listen. And then my last shout out is gonna be Hollow Front. Hollow Front, their album Loose Threads is a repeat album for me. I love them. I love Hollow Front. I love the lead singer's vocals. I love all the super sick artwork that they do. And honestly, I just love the band so much. So I wanted to shout them out. But now let's get into the honorable mentions. Honorable mentions. Okay, I got 5. Now my honorable mentions are not going to be in order. Okay, they're just my honorable mentions. Okay, I'm not, whatever order I say them in would not be a ranking. Okay, the first 2 bands that I want to put on my honorables mentions list is Deviloof and Jaluka. Amazing, artistic J-metal bands that do so much, and it's the reason why my own personal listenership with them is so high, because you can never get bored of a song or an album by them. The way that they always keep it fresh with new ideas and different sounds and different soundscapes is just one of the most animated and interactive listens that you really can have with a song. They make it like the moment you press play, you got a hook in your mouth and they're just reeling you the whole time, and I love them so much. The next on my honorable mentions list is going to be Fit for a King. I did not put them on my top 10, and I really wish that I did. I've loved Fit for a King for such a long time. All of their music is amazing. The first song I ever heard by them was God of Fire. And the moment I heard that song, I was like, I'm gonna be a fan. Sometimes you just hear one single song and you're like, that's it, bro. I'm cooked. I'm done. You got me. And they've done that. And they are definitely always in my rotation. I love Fit for a King. And let me just say, if it doesn't go without saying, any of the bands that I mentioned that you haven't heard, they are on my list for a reason. Because these are the upper echelon of my metal, what is it called? My favorites, like my preferences. That's what I'm trying to think of. So definitely check any of the bands out so far. The next 2 that I have on my honorable mentions is going to be Capstan and Paleface. Paleface is one of those bands that I feel cannot do any wrong. Any album in their discography is gonna get you hooked. I love their delivery on a lot of their songs. I love the voice. I just love how nasty and heavy it is. It's like the most amazing morbid listen sometimes, and it's just fucking wonderful. But Capstan has such a big part of my heart. I love them. All of their different singles and albums, and just the way that I can connect with their music is a lot different than even music in my top 10. Now that's the way it should be, right? They always can provide a mood or a feeling or a vibe and energy, whatever it is. Like, they have one of those catalogs that is definitely a spectrum, so you could be all the way over here, all the way over here, and I love it. Such as the song Blurred Around the Edges. My god, that song is sad and just heart-wrenching. But then you also have slower ballads on that album, like sway, and you have all these different emotions and feelings, and it's a wonderful record. You guys need to check it out. Now, here is the time where we start to make some people angry, okay? Why is this on your list? Why is this on your list? You know what, dumbass? Because this isn't a top 10 best, okay? This is a top 10 personal list based off of preference, and that is the only way to build an honest list. For number 10, this is a personal list, and sitting here and having to defend an artist that I prefer is not something that should be done. For this artist, it does, because it is a band that I love so much, but I have to defend it because you guys will leave by hearing my top 10 right away because of the stigma that this band has, and it's because of the lead singer, and the band is Falling in Reverse. Now, I have spent so much time with this band, more so than maybe even other bands in my top 10, but they're ranking at number 10. And I feel like the antics that Ronnie Radke does, and kind of the way he is just purely just an asshole, has given the band such a bad taste. Now, there are people who just think that they're a shit band, and you know what? That's fine. If you think Falling in Reverse is shit, go listen to your Cannibal Corpse. Go listen to your Metallica. I'm not here to argue with you. This is my list. Take it or leave it. When you take the reimagined songs, and you have to understand that for the longest time, Ronnie has been such a good songwriter that they can take songs that were created back when they were in their fuckboy, loud, just aesthetic, personality driven era, and take those same words and make such a beautiful song out of it. Like the Druggin' Me Is You, and then Druggin' Me Is You reimagined. I think they're both great, but think about how distinct both of those songs are. At the core, they are the exact same song. But back to Ronnie, sometimes you do have to separate the art from the artist. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people, I find, have to do with this band, just because Ronnie is just, all he does is stir the pot, excuse me. But they make great music. The fact that we have to do that is understandable. Now, I feel like a lot of people take Ronnie's antics and the way that he acts and applies that to everything that the band does, and they decide to just dogpile and hate train because of that. Again, if you want to, go ahead. Not my business. But I'm able to separate those two things and be able to appreciate the band that I've loved for so long. I have core memories with this band. You know, the fact that Ronnie went to jail and then he gets out and starts this new band, Falling in Reverse, and takes the anger that he had from his Escape the Fate days, and then he blows up and blows Escape the Fate out of the water. And then Ronnie gets blown, into the fucking stratosphere as a superstar. Whether that be famous or infamous, he is up there, and you cannot deny it. The metal scene as a whole, all you have to do is say the name Ronnie, and they already know who you're talking about. But enough about having to take my stand between Ronnie and his own band. They make fucking bangers. They make bangers, bro. They make music that is created to be played as loud as possible. Do you know how many nights I have had driving around, definitely not under the influence of alcohol, after the bar, you're feeling good, you're feeling great, you guys are driving back to your place, their place, whatever, and you're playing fucking Popular Monster? I don't care how empty or packed that car is, you are going off, dude. Aside from being kind of a shithead, Ronnie has this magical touch where he can just make such good songs. That's my number 10. I know I'm going to get some flack for it, and I don't care. You guys are not going to hurt my feelings. And if you look up here, where's my finger? There it is. I do have a poster from when I went to see them with Papa Roach. And you know what? I wasn't there for Papa Roach, but they put on a great show. But I had such fun, and you can't take those memories back from me. Number 9 is Whitechapel. Oh, I love Whitechapel so much. You can go back to any album in their discography and you can never look at them or hear them and be like, it's okay. No, they've made bangers. They have been a pillar, right? A mainstay in the metal sphere, in the ecosystem of what we call metal music for so long, even all the way back in 2007 when they dropped their debut album. If they're not talking about Whitechapel, they're talking about Phil Bozeman. The first time I heard Phil Bozeman / Whitechapel, I was like, my God, what an amazing voice for metal. And I still feel that way. Regardless of who else is on my top 10, I feel like Phil Bozeman has one of the best voices for metal, period. Not only that, they've been going for almost 20 full years, and they have released an album in 2025 with Hymns of Dissonance. And the title track off that album, Hymns of Dissonance, has one of my favorite breakdowns of this entire year.
Father, we've come to devour the eyes of...
Every time I hear Whitechapel, it makes me want to kick my own ass.
What the hell are you doing? I'm kicking my ass! Do you mind?
Their music is so good, so fire, and honestly, for the metal scene, at least in my opinion, I think they are a cornerstone of, at least I'll say, my experience. And number 8, Brand of Sacrifice. Good Lord in heaven. Every project they put out is just crushing. And they do not have a single miss. Brand of Sacrifice has one of the best discographies in all of metal music. Any project that you decide to go to is going to give you that pure Brand of Sacrifice experience. And I know double kicks is just like a general drumming technique, but the way that Brand of Sacrifice uses it, they have one of my favorite uses of double kicks in all of metal, any metal band. The way that every single instrument is only there to kick your ass, and it all works so well together, right? I appreciate bands who do go on nice guitar solos or have a drum solo. I love that. But they don't do that a lot because everything is so cohesive in terms of the sequencing and instrumentation that every song hits like a fucking 18-wheeler. Between the Lifeblood project and then between Death and Dreams and then the Interstice EP, like, oh my God, it's just banger after banger after, bro, 10 after 10 after 10 after 10, bro. Every project you can go to and you're not getting different eras in a way. And granted, there are some elements that are more prevalent on projects versus other ones. And I also don't want to say that they don't have different eras, like they haven't evolved. What I mean is certain bands, like let's take Whitechapel, for example, that we just talked about. They have the Kin album, which sonically is so much different than everything else in their catalog. And I don't feel like Brand of Sacrifice really has that, aside from some added, electronics built into different songs or overall projects. They have always created their lane in terms of the sound that they have. And if there's any faltering, it is only for them to continue to get better. Brand of Sacrifice is one of my favorite listens. Not only that, they have some amazing features. They don't have a lot, but take Demon King with Ryo Kinoshita, or even take the remix of Lifeblood with Will Ramos. When you get remixes for a band, I feel like that is such a nod to how good of a song that is from the band who created it. And we have a rare instance where we have a remix that is better than the original with Lifeblood, with Will Ramos. But it's not that he came in and took over the song and made it completely different than the original. It is such a meeting in the middle, the left hand shaking the right to create such a badass experience. And as much of a Will Ramos fan as I am, I'm not saying that they needed him. I'm just saying he came in, did his thing, and just continued to amp up an already amazing, almost perfect catalog. Number 7 is going to be Left to Suffer. My God. You know, I have heard singles and tracks by them leading up to the release of the album Feral, and I've always loved them. You know, going back to the single like DNR with Will Ramos and Something Hoover, the guy whose name I can never remember. And it's just so badass. And then you hear these other little songs. And then for me, it led up to Feral. And Feral for me is overall one of my favorite metal albums. And let me explain why. Because it's one of those metal albums that when I turn on that first track, I have to go all the way to the bottom. That song, I've played that album so much, it almost feels like home to me. The thing I love about Left to Suffer as well is I feel like they are so good at collaborating with other artists. Now, I don't want to take away from the core experience of the band, but I love a band who's not afraid to go and branch out and work with other artists. I feel like sometimes metal artists are like, well, we are the band and we are going to do the stuff, right? And that happens and that's fine. But the fact that they've collaborated with so many people, especially the song that they did with Paleface Swiss, Lost in the Dark, like go check my reaction for that. It is insane how good that is. And you have all of these other songs, such as the song Devils and Die by My Hands. You have amazing collaborations. And I feel like sometimes people think that collaborations is a band making up for something they couldn't do themselves. And I really don't think that that's the case here. Left to Suffer has continued to have such an amazing track record that you are able to enjoy them no matter what year of song you want to put out. Also, before I forget, make sure to go hear their new song Gone Too Soon. My God, dude. Get ready for a listen. Left to Suffer, shout out, number 7. I love you guys. Number 6 is a very, very special band for me and a very special spot. You guys watched me hear this band for the first time on this channel, and they have already continued to go up the ranks in terms of being one of my favorite metal bands. At number 6, we have Boundaries. My God, we have established bands already in the top 10. Whitechapel, Brand of Sacrifice, Left to Suffer, Falling in Reverse. These guys have been out for years and years. And we have this new band, Boundaries, coming in. Not new, but newer, coming in and just dethroning them. Boundaries have been one of my favorite experiences on this channel and in metal in general. The first time I ever heard them was on this channel when I covered the song and I reacted to the song Easily Erased. And I knew at that moment that we had something special. Because of that experience, I had to go through and do 2 full album reactions. Not only do so many bands on my channel, as much as I love them, even get 1 album reaction, like a full one. No, they got 2. I love them. They have been a favorite of mine since they started. Going back to their first album, Hartford County Misery, is such a devastating, heartbreaking listen. The album name is based off an awful event that happened in Hartford County in Connecticut, the same place the band was founded. And going through that album, if you want an emotional listen, and I don't just mean emotional as sad, but just such a like so many feelings and emotions washing through the devastating acts that are laid out without that album, and they did it in such a tasteful way. I don't like when bands take a topic or something and they force a full album experience out of it. No, not here. They made a fucking banger album out of something so awful. And for the sake of Daddy YouTube, I'm not going to explain what the situation was that album is about. So I challenge you to go find out for yourself. But beware, it is very devastating. And they did it in such a good way that I revisit that album, especially the song Dog Teeth. Oh my God. One of my favorite things that the band has done is introduce Tim Sullivan on the band and backup or clean vocals. I think he is just such a wonderful addition to the band, especially going back to the song Easily Erased. And they're letting his clean vocals just pierce through about halfway the song. And it just makes for this like, oh my God. And then it just slams back down. It's such a wonderful experience. Shout out to Tim Sullivan too. His other band is called, I think, Knife Talk, I think is what it's called. Go check it out because he's amazing. The lead singer for this band is amazing. Even in the short time that they've been out, they've definitely had some changes within the band, but nothing has taken away from amazing creation of music. The thing that I appreciate too about this band is they don't waste a single second of your time. If the runtime is 3 minutes, so is the instrumentation. They don't leave you wondering and thinking. And because they do that, it makes for some really good transitions. Going from Darkness Shared, transitioning perfectly into like Petals from a Stem. You can't tell me that was one full song, not broken into two. Like, it transitions so dang well. And on the song Curse to Remember, he combines the word face with the nastiest bleh that anybody within a 14-mile radius felt like they had to clear their throat. It is so damn nasty, bro.
When you stare death in the face.
If you guys have not heard Boundaries, check them out. I am not only grateful for their music that they landed so high already, but I'm glad that they did so I can talk about them again and hopefully get somebody into this band. They're just absolutely brilliant. We are now in top 5 category, baby. I am so excited. At number 5 is going to be the band Eminence. Violin core, baby. Violin core. Oh my God, I have loved these guys so much. With the addition of a violin, bro, you truly get some different soundscapes that you wouldn't even expect to get in a metal song. Since we're in the top 5 category, like, it goes without saying that they are in constant rotation. Like, go back as far as you want to the song Ghost, go back to the song Erase, and then come to now when you get songs like Heaven Shall Burn, Heaven in Hiding, God-Fearing Man. And speaking of God-Fearing Man, the fact that he used a violin bow to just, oh my God. They have some of my favorite music sonically that I've ever heard in my life. If you guys go back before they released out the album, The Black, you'll see how excited I was and just being able to follow their path up until that release. And my God, Lord is my witness. Every time they are on, I feel like I almost have to take a second to appreciate what I'm hearing. I love all of my music. I'm connected to all of my music. But when Eminence comes on, it gives me a feeling that no other band really gives me. And then take the song Death by a Thousand Cuts, for example. And if you're not familiar with the term Death by a Thousand Cuts, It's when you get small incisions on your body till you bleed out, right? That's pretty much what it is. And on their song Death by a Thousand Cuts, after they're screaming death by a thousand cuts and going through all of this nasty instrumentation, it gets to a point in the song where he's just, and he's just screaming and screaming. And it really paints the picture of what he's talking about, of this concept of getting cut little by little by little until you just can't take it anymore. And it's almost prophetic in the way that it comes across because it applies to so many things. And look at what has happened in the past. It's always these small things that lead up. And I feel like they painted that picture perfectly. They have dropped so much music that I cannot let go of. It's disgusting. They have always been, for the last couple years that Apple Music has done their own version of Spotify Wrapped, they have always been on there. I think number 3 on there was Heaven Shall Burn in terms of my top played songs of that year, because my God, dude, Imminence is always going to be top 5 for me, regardless of who comes out after, regardless of what we've had before. Maybe I'll get some more recency bias from other bands, but I'm telling you right now, Imminence is a staple in my own musical preference. And if you have not heard Imminence, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? I had to say it 3 times. So if you haven't listened to them, you can feel stupid about it. It's amazing. Check them out. They have one of the most nastiest and entertaining discographies out there. And please give them a shout. At number 4, we have one of the best metal bands out right now. And I feel like I'm going to catch a little bit of flack for this, even though this is a very personal list. These are my preferences. But at number 4, I have Lorna Shore. In my heart, I feel like they are higher than a 4, but because of my top 3, maybe you'll understand why they had to stay there. I feel like because of my top 3, Lorna Shore had a ceiling, unfortunately. When I talk about Lorna Shore, I want it to be Lorna Shore / Will Ramos. Will Ramos took a band that already had a foundation and already had a following and stepped in after the lead singer had to leave for reasons. And he stepped in and took this band and shot it into the goddamn stratosphere. If you don't remember the moment that Will took this band from good to God tier, then you weren't on social media when the song To the Hellfire came out. That was his huge, grandiose, look at us, right? And that wasn't his first interaction with the band. He stepped in and started performing with them for the lead singer, who again left for reasons. And he just ended up being their main singer, like a permanent part of the band. And ever since that happened, you cannot escape them in any facet. Like now, because of the impact that was made with To the Hellfire, other bands constantly get compared to them. Anytime that a band releases the craziest, vocally nastiest song that you've heard, and you're like, oh my God, this is disgusting, you still to this day have people saying they're trying to do what Lorna Shore did. And I don't think it's fair when that happens, but understand that impact. That is insane. After they dropped To the Hellfire, Enterprise Earth dropped a Reanimate Disintegrate, I think was the name of the song, trying to do what they did. Now, again, I'm not saying they copied it, but immediately after, you hear metal start to shift forever. When you're on social media and you hear these people trying to do pig screams and crazy gutter rolls and try to do the nastiest, weirdest, animalistic vocals you've ever heard, thank you, Will Ramos. You have single-handedly taken Lorna Shore to a level where people start really following a band closer than they normally would. Not only is that thanks to the amazing projects that we have, it's also thanks to Will Ramos, just as a vocalist, not scared to go off and do YouTube videos like with the charismatic voice, or getting the tube down his throat, or making sure to have a presence on social media, because you can tell he's just the dude who's not going to allow him or his band be pocketed into just being a metal act. And the personality that Will brings, again, separate the art from the artist, but in this case, the personality that Will brings, I think really does do a lot for the band, especially with the past that they have had. Will Ramos and Lorna Shore together is like if Batman and Superman teamed up to be a duo. Like, they are an unstoppable force, and there's no other band in my mind that can take them off of the pedestal that they have created. Now, I'm saying all that when they're only number 4 in a top 10, but I mean every single word of that. Lorna Shore, Will Ramos, I love you guys. It was a blast being able to see them when they came through Portland, and it was just a nasty performance. I love everything that they do. I have become a lifelong fan, and I will be here until the end. Here we are, number 3, the top 3, baby. And not only is this very exciting, but I feel like my number 3 is going to be a shock to so many people. Throughout my time on YouTube, I have said that I have a favorite band. And granted, I've always meant that. However, they have been dethroned. They have danced with another band in my top 3 between number 1 and 2, between between Sleep Token and this other band. But now they've slipped to 3. And even the people who I know personally who are hopefully watching this video, and if I know anybody personally on a personal level who is watching this, but number 3 is going to be Sleep Token. Now, God, okay, look, dude, there's so many people who are like, they're not real metal, they're boring, they're trying to copy Deftones. I don't care about any of that. Sleep Token is my number 3 favorite band. I have merch, I have posters, I have vinyls, I have a fucking tattoo, but they're number 3 now. The thing that I love about Sleep Token is no matter what mood I want to be in, no matter what energy I want, what vibe I want, they have a song or a whole project that will support that. Even going all the way back to Jaws. And then going to This Place Will Become Your Tomb, which is where I became a fan of them. And it's funny because we just got done talking about Lorna Shore, and Will Ramos, this is his favorite band. And that's how I found Sleep Token, was because he did the cover of Hypnosis. And I was like, oh my God, what song is this? And the moment I started spinning This Place Will Become Your Tomb, I knew in my heart that I was going to absolutely fall in love with this band, and I have. I really, truly have. Now, that album to me is a 10 out of 10. And then you get to Take Me Back to Eden, which has some of my favorite songs they've ever done. Like, that album, for me, is one of the best albums I've heard for very, very many different reasons. There is not a song by them I don't like. Now, there's a song I don't really care for. Do You Wish That You Loved Me? I don't really care for that song. I do treat it as a skip because I can't vibe with it regardless of the narrative or whatever it's about. Like, I can't do it. I'm sorry. But everything else that they have is absolutely amazing. If I want to really sit with my feelings, I can pick 7 different songs on This Place Will Become Your Tomb. If I just really want to dig into my own self, I'll listen to things like Take Me Back to Eden, Ascensionism, right? Hypnosis even. You have all of these amazing songs that have lived with me through so many times that I needed to have a helping hand there. And they always have, whether it helped me get through something or whether I needed them to help me translate or understand the emotions that I have. They've always been there and they're always going to be there. I think the only thing that slipped it for me down to 3 was because of the album Even in Arcadia. Now, look, I have made a lot of content and put out a lot of content for Even in Arcadia. I do love the project. However, that released and then we got an album from our number 2 spot that solidified it for me that they had to go down. And that band is Slaughter to Prevail. Now, I love Slaughter to Prevail so much. Oh my God. I have always been a fan of Slaughter to Prevail. I think I got into them the same time everybody else did. Demolisher. And the moment I heard that, I was like, we're fucking back, baby. We're back and we're here to stay. And going through that whole album is just amazing. Going to any song that they have is there to make a statement. They have one of the heaviest catalogs in metal, especially when it comes to this list that I have. And I was talking about Will Ramos being a figure on social media, coming across as, hey, I'm just a dude, okay? I'm a dude. I like things. I like to do stuff. And he didn't pocket himself. He's like, I want to do things that I would enjoy, which is why Will Ramos is out racing cars and having his girl and loving his life. The same could be said for Alex Terrible, but in such a different way. Who else is out here wrestling a bear except for Courtney LaPlante? She wrestled a bear once. And wrestling a bear, cutting your own face, fighting with a tiger, like going out into the snow, doing bare knuckle boxing. I don't know why I said going out in the snow like that's the hardest thing ever, but he touched snow. That's crazy. When some of y'all motherfuckers can't even touch grass. But Slaughter to Prevail, their lead singer just will put on a show, is famous for a lot of his antics that he does. And not just antics in like a Ronnie Radke antic way, but like just going out and doing wild shit. The bare knuckle boxing, the screaming without a microphone on stage, creating huge walls of death. Everything that they do is an experience. And they give you that experience through Alex himself and through what they release. Now, the album that knocked Sleep Token down and put this band Slaughter to Prevail at number 2 for me was the release of their album Grizzly. So far in the 2020s is top 5 favorite metal album of the 2020s already. That album is a literal 10 out of 10. Alex the Terrible is an actual demon at this point. Every album that they've released has been wonderful, and they never fail to give you such a nasty and raw experience. And without them, I feel like without them at number 2, I feel like my list somehow would be completely different. They have shaken up my expectations. They have shaken up where I set my bar for what I consider a metal album to now be great. They have done so much for me, and I love them so much. And I am blessed and happy to have them at my number 2 spot. Now, my number 1. You guys, I want to take a minute to go through my list, falling in reverse. Whitechapel, Brand of Sacrifice, Left to Suffer, Boundaries, Imminence. Like, we have made it all the way up the list. We are at the top rung of the ladder right now. Am I building suspense? Yes. If you have been a longtime viewer of my channel, you know that there has always been something on my wall that I have moved but never taken down. This band has continued to prove over the years why they are such a force. Now, before I keep explaining, let me rip the Band-Aid off. Number one favorite artist is Knocked Loose, baby. Knocked Loose, number one, solidified, undeniable, baby. Catch these hands, you don't agree, you know what I'm saying? Knocked Loose has created such an overall experience and personality for me in the way that I love to hear my music. I have loved them for so long, even going way back in their discography before they hit the album Laugh Tracks that really set them on the map. They got really, really popular for the song Counting Worms, and for good reason. It's a minute and a half of one literal fucking breakdown. The whole song's a breakdown. It's amazing. And then you got these arf, these dog barks. It pisses me off when I hear people say and call them SpongeBob core. It's such a stupid way to invalidate a band. It is the dumbest attempt at trying to make people feel dumb for liking something. What, SpongeBob core? Bro, more like shut the fuck up core. Bruh. Knocked Loose is amazing. I love every project they have. And then after already being in love with them at the point that the album You Won't Go Before You're Supposed To came out, they were already top 3. And after that came out, I really had to think about it and say Knocked Loose is my favorite metal band over Whitechapel, over Sleep Token, over Lorna Shore. And I feel like the debate in my mind is, well, how are they so far up a list when you have amazing musical composition like Lorna Shore, or they have such a nasty, insane vocalist like Alex Terrible for Slaughter to Prevail, or you have the legacy of amazing material like Phil Bozeman, or for better or worse, making big waves and having people talk about you in the scene like a Ronnie Radke. But when I was able to really step back and analyze what am I listening to the most out of these bands, it's undeniable. Part of making this list was who were considered my favorites, and then I kind of just sorted this whole list by what do I gravitate towards the most. And it was Knocked Loose, without a doubt. I love the band. They have all amazing projects. I love everything they've ever done. I love the new album. It's a 10 out of 10. They have never, ever made a bad song. This is an example of having a band with the lead singer, who is usually the figurehead of their presence, right? As a band is the singer. You find yourself with the caveat of having a band where the singer is not loud in terms of having to be everywhere on social media. They stick to their guns and they make phenomenal music. I mean, hell, they even got invited on Jimmy Kimmel Live and played such a dope set. Most people there didn't even know who they were or who they were actually going to be seeing, and it caused such an uproar. And it's like the fact that they got invited to play for Jimmy Kimmel says something of their following and their traction and their exposure. Like, they are an amazing band at the core of everything. And there is nothing you could really pin against this band. For me personally, I am so happy that I got to put Knocked Loose number one. When I was writing my top 10 list, I had a feeling like, yeah, Knocked Loose is going to be number one. And I was like, no, let's be fair, right? Let's give these bands a fair chance. Let's really think about it. And it didn't change my mind. Knocked Loose forever. If you guys agree with my list or disagree, I could fucking care less. Okay? If you guys want to leave some feedback, let me know in the comments. Let me know what I should have changed about my list. Now, here's what I am anticipating in my comments. How could you have a list with a homophobic lead singer like Ronnie Radke? Oh, how could you have a band in your top 3 that's not even real metal like Sleep Token? Bud, leave it in the comments, okay? I'm so excited to get my feedback on here. You guys asked for this, okay? If you don't like the list, know that you asked for this, bro. This is what you wanted. It was so fun to really sit down and think about what could be included, and I'm extremely happy with my picks. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what other kind of video I should do. If you like these sit down and talk kind of videos, let me know. Thank you for 2,000 subscribers. Now, I know this isn't the craziest milestone in the world, but you know what? When you're in school and you got a gold sticker, didn't you feel like a badass for the rest of the day? It has been a long journey to 2,000, and I cannot explain the love that I feel for you guys because of the support you have given me through the years. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Let me know what your top 10 list is, please. I'm so excited to know, and I will see you guys in the next reaction.